Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing super well. I'm back with yet another New Metal Monday where I talk about my favourite new releases of the week. And in terms of numbers, it's been quite a quiet week for me this week. But the albums themselves that I want to recommend, not so much. In fact, quite the opposite. I've only got 3 albums that I want to talk about this week, but before I do, just to reiterate, if you check out the description box below, you will find a New Metal Monday Spotify playlist link, which will feature every single album that I talk about on these weekly videos, unless it is a Bandcamp or YouTube only release, in which case I'll make sure to get that specified in the description box. So if you do use Spotify, make sure you follow that playlist, because I want to make sure that you guys get access to all of the music that I recommend as easily as possible. However, if you don't use Spotify, don't worry about it, because I'll also be including the links for the band's Bandcamps or their YouTube channels as well. But like I said, I've got 3 brand new albums that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to jump straight in. Okay, so the very first album that I want to talk about, which was probably one of the biggest albums of the week, is Aborted with Vault of Horrors, and it's the 12th studio album from the Belgian extreme death metal band. Intense, completely uncompromising, relentless, brutal, filthy, extreme death metal, and honestly, it's just lovely stuff. I love this album. Chugging insanity full of complete technical precision and unrelenting force. This is a really cool concept album because each track is about a classic horror film or horror story. So they take inspiration from the likes of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, The Mist, stories like that. But not only that, every single track, and I think there's about 12 tracks on this album, features guest vocals from another metal band such as Shadow of Intent, Archspire, Flesh God Apocalypse, Despised Icon, bands like that. Each track has a special guest vocalist on it, and it adds such a dynamic layer to this album, and it really keeps you on your toes. Face-melting breakdowns, flurries of intense blast beats, unholy guttural vocals. The guttural vocals in this are just so intense and extreme, and they do not stop at all from beginning to end. It's just an unrelenting force of pure brutality. Lots of really cool technical precision, and the solos in this are just lightning speed, very, very intricate, soaring, and just absolutely mental, for lack of a better term. They melt your face off. The entire album is a face melter, but despite how brutal and devastatingly heavy it is, it's also really, really catchy. And even though it pummels you into submission until there's nothing left, you come back wanting more. And before you know it, you're at the end of the album and you can't help but put it on again. It is so addictive, it should be illegal. And if you haven't already checked this out, please do so, especially if you're looking for absolutely devastating, brutal, in your face, no nonsense, straight for the jugular, technical death metal. But it's not technical in such a way that it's jarring. It's so well done, and despite how absolutely insane it is, it flows really nicely. So if you are a fan of the likes of Archspire, Cryptopsy, Flesh God Apocalypse, Despised Icon, extreme metal bands like that, definitely get onto this. These guys know exactly what they're doing, and they never let you down with their albums. And honestly, this is my favourite album of theirs so far. Absolutely love it. The Shape of Hate is a definite standout moment for me on this record, and this track is mad. It's just absolutely insane. The entire record is mad and insane and really, really angry, but this one really stands out to me because it's got Ollie from Archspire, their vocalist, and his distinctive shotgun style vocals just absolutely blew me apart. They honestly did. I've had the joy of seeing Archspire live before, and honestly, they're one of the best bands I've ever seen live. So if you ever have the opportunity to see them, definitely check them out. And Ollie's vocals live are just as intense, if not more so, than in the studio. I honestly have no idea how he does it. He has an absurd talent, and it's mental, absolutely insanely mental, and that's the kind of vibe and energy that he brings to this particular track. So you have all of that intensity of the brutal riffage, the technical precision, the deep guttural vocals, heavy bass lines, thunderous blast beats, and just killer riffs with his shotgun vocals as well at the same time. Outstanding stuff. The entire record, like I said, is absolutely amazing from beginning to end, but definitely check this track out. I loved it. Okay, so next up on my list, I have Necrophobic with In the Twilight Grey, and it's the 10th studio album from the Swedish blackened death metal band. Now, these guys here are absolute undisputed experts in the blackened death metal scene. Snarling, rasping, evil sounding gutturals, insane blast beats, epic riffage, flying solos, and they have this uncanny ability to take the attitude and the speed and the ferocity of death metal and combine that with the dark intensity of black metal, and it's just an absolutely stunning record. Rampaging rhythm of blistering blast beats, ferocious, insane riffage. Honestly, the very first time I listened to this record, I got the image of the armies of hell rising from the depths of the earth and just completely decimating and obliterating everything. Powerful solos, really dense, harsh harmonies, and this air of superiority. There's something very dark and very ominous underneath all of that brutal death metal as well that just adds that extra layer of atmosphere. And despite the fact that it is so brutally intense, it's really catchy and enticing as well. So if you are a fan of the likes of Gods Dethroned, Thulkandra, Dimmu Borgir with a wee bit of Dark Funeral in there, you're definitely going to want to check this out. This is an absolutely outstanding album, especially for a 10th studio album. I have no idea how these bands maintain their motivation and their inspiration, but 10 albums is a huge milestone, and they have absolutely destroyed the place with this. I cannot wait to see these guys live. Mirrors of a Thousand Lakes is a definite standout moment for me on this record. There's just something very dark, very intense, and very enticing about this track. It opens with a gorgeous spiraling guitar riff and building drums before it absolutely annihilates with sheer brutal force. But then after the 2-minute mark, things do change up a little bit, and this track starts to twist and turn, the solos start flying, chant-worthy choruses that are so addictive that you cannot help but chant back to them, and really cool haunting tolling bells in the background just to give it that ominous edge. But this is a very enticing, captivating track, and the guitars are just center stage in this. They are absolutely amazing. Okay, so last up on my list, but certainly by no means least, I have Call of the Void with On Grief and Dying, and it's the debut album from the melancholic melodic death doom metal from Mexico. I honestly cannot believe that this is a debut album. It is outstanding. It's certainly very heavy on the melodic, melancholic side of things, but they do maintain an incredibly aggressive edge to their beautiful sound. This is a straight up homage to that 90s melancholic, melodic death doom metal sound, so if that's where your vibe is, if that's what you really like for your music, you're definitely going to want to check this out. They incorporate a lot of elements of black metal and melodic death metal into that melancholic doom kind of sound. And it's just really dense in that gothic opulency and gorgeously soaring melodies. The record really focuses on creating a very dark, dense, eerie, kind of remorseful atmosphere, but the thing that really stands out to me the most, apart from the crushing guitars, the addictive melodies, and that remorseful kind of tone, is the different vocals throughout the entire record. Now, the thing that stands out most to me in this record, apart from the crushing guitars, the really thunderous drums, the beautiful melodies and harmonies, is the vocal abilities. So you've got the contrasting vocals, which are very smooth, crisp, soaring cleans that are calling out to you from the void, but you've also got the really deep, dark, demonic gutturals that are calling back, and they just bounce off each other. That creates this very grandiose atmosphere. It's really dark, very enticing and captivating, and it really draws you into the shadows. It's really peaceful to listen to, despite the fact it's incredibly crushing at the same time. So if you are a fan of the likes of last year's Fires in the Distance, Insomnium, the doomier side of Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, and early Catatonia, you're definitely going to want to get onto this. I am a huge Paradise Lost and Insomnium fan, so that's the kind of vibe that I was getting when I was listening to this album, and honestly, I cannot stop listening to this. So if you like any of those bands or just that kind of vibe in your metal, this is definitely the one for you. Plus that artwork is stunning. One Last Regret is a definite standout moment for me on this record. It is at the very beginning, but it certainly sets the tone going forward. It's a brooding, atmospheric, very dark track, and it begins with a single guitar riff and heavy bass lines, and it slowly builds until it just bursts forward out of the fog with the most deep, demonic growl. There's a lot of really cool, gloomy, trudging riffs throughout this, rolling drum beats that really entice you in until you've got the comparison between the clean vocals and those deep guttural growls again. The clean vocals are more prevalent in this track, but you've got the guttural vocals in the background that are literally calling out to you from the shadows. The guitar work throughout the entire record is absolutely captivating, but it is centre stage on this track in particular. So like I said, if you are a fan of Insomnium or just that 90s melancholic melodic death doom kind of sound, get onto this one. This was stunning. And that's it for this week's very short New Metal Monday. Once again, if you can comment down below to let me know what you think of the albums that I've recommended. And if you have any of your own recommendations, please let me know and I'll definitely get them checked out. Like, share, subscribe. I really do appreciate your support as always. Thank you so much, and I will see you very soon in my next video.